In the beginning, in the beginning, in the in the beginning, there were the original lifters. We got Mike Menzer, Arnold. We got Tom Platz, and let's say New Age. We got like Sam Sulek. But a part of lifting, I want to say the most important part, but one of the most important aspects of lifting or being a bodybuilder and all that is the cut versus the bulk. As requested, more people wanted information on how to cut rather than bulk and gain excess mass to turn to muscle. Therefore, let's underline some quote unquote cut rules that I I want to say used to follow, that I still follow to this day, but I use them sparingly, right? So some good rules to follow are eating no junk food, which has its limits. Cause you can, if you can fit the macros into what you're eating, eating no junk food. I mean, eating no junk food sounds like hell for a lot of us, right? I mean, junk food is easily accessible, it's cheap, it's a quote unquote affordable, right? And you get a lot of bang for your buck. So it's gonna be a bit hard to cut out junk food. So what I'd say for some people is don't cut it out totally, increments, right? Have a little here and there. Don't have it on a regular basis. If you can, maybe twice a week, the most. Junk food, you know what I'm saying? Or if you can fit the junk food into your macros, even better. You can have junk food on a more regular basis. But if you can and you have a strong will and you can cut out junk food totally, that's right. The next cut rule I'd say is eating 2 to 3 meals daily, right? I like to use this one sparingly as well. So personally, I find it more beneficial to just have 2 meals. One main meal, breakfast, and then dinner. So you start with the workout fasted, and then you have dinner. That's basically it. So you start with the workout fasted. You don't eat anything before the initial workout. So you work out on an empty stomach, which doesn't seem to work for all people, but it works for me. Or if I don't work out on an empty stomach, what I would do is have one small meal, like maybe a piece of fruit or some oats, granola bar, something like that, chocolate bar. Not regular chocolate bar, like a protein chocolate bar, protein bar, something to that effect before I start my workout. Just get, a little boost of energy. Or if not, I'll probably just take a little pre-workout and just get it started. Right. Next on the list is spacing between meals. I personally like to keep it 3 to 5 hours between every meal. So if you start with breakfast, you maybe take 4 hours before you go to the next meal, right? I like to say 3 to 5 because some persons' hunger levels can be different based on age, weight, and gender. So I don't want to put anything to a particular person per se. Right. Next thing is stop eating at a certain time. So having a limit on when you eat can be the difference between a successful cut or bulk. My bad. A successful cut or bulk. So having space, not spacing between spacing between meals, yes, and also knowing when to cut off, when to draw the line, when to put a limit. So me personally, I like to stop eating around maybe 5 p.m., 6 p.m. So I try to get in all my meals before then, right? The next is no snacks or soda. This falls in the junk food category once again. But let me not let me not draw out the junk food category. But yeah, no snacks, no soda, they had in the overall calories and macros for the day, and if you can just avoid them, so you can get more bang for your buck once more, being able to eat some of what you want, but in healthier portions, right? Or even having alternatives or substitutes. Next is don't drink calories. We all tend as in sodas, again, we all tend to drink our calories, and I'm not talking about a healthy, good portion smoothie. I'm talking about drinking Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, things that add up to your calories. It's not just soda, it's alcohol, any drink or substance that adds to the overall caloric intake will affect the cut slash bulk, right? In this case, we're talking about cutting. Alright, next is get 8 hours of sleep. Yes, realistically, some persons can only be getting 6 to 8 hours, but if we can opt for the approximate 8 hours of sleep, that would be awesome. That would help a whole ton in recovery. Matter of fact, for me personally, I like to sleep about 8 to 10 hours, which I do not get on a regular basis. But during a summer period or summer holiday when times are a bit less strict, I can opt to get some more sleep. Regularly, I probably get a maybe like 6 to 7 hours of sleep on a regular daily basis. All right, next is water intake. So you want to be drinking at least, I think the daily for water is what, 8 cups. I need to check that back, but I think it's 8 cups. You want to be drinking about 6 to 8. Some people cannot get in that 8 cup. I don't know. It's just not possible, not feasible in some person's day to drink 8 cups of water. So what I'd recommend having a big water jug that you can carry with you to school, to work, and be getting in your water. And if you can put creatine in your water, even better, right? Next is cup, 1 cup, half a cup of juice daily. You want to be not drinking your calories, even if it's a smoothie. You want to be limiting the amount of the caloric intake overall. You want to be limiting the caloric intake. Therefore, we cannot have it being that you are going to be drinking your calories. Yes, you can opt for some daily orange juice here and there, but preferably something like ginger tea, bone broth. Maybe avoid the coffee, you know what I'm saying? To lower the caloric intake. It's very, very, very hard not to drink juice. Try it. Try not to drink juice for 1 week and realize the difference in weight, difference how you look, difference in how you feel, right? Opt for some water, some bone broth, some tea. Some people, there's benefits to coffee. Coffee has its drawbacks, but there's a lot of benefits to coffee. Do your reading, do your research, right? Um, the last one is eat only after your workout, and this is just a personal choice. Not everyone likes this one or opts for this one. I prefer to eat after my workout, and when my workout's completed, get a meal in after. But as I'm saying, some people are different, everyone's different. Some people would rather have a full meal before their workout for their energy, maybe some carb intake, maybe like a banana or so, bit of peanut butter or something like that here and there, maybe a protein shake. I don't really like to work out on a full stomach. It makes me feel sick before and after, but it's okay if I take like a mini meal, a small meal, something not too significant, right? Maybe like a little small bowl of fruits, oats, as I was saying earlier. All right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. What you can eat versus what you can't. While I won't be listing what you can't eat, I will be listing the things that I would recommend that you have, right? So we have foods like bananas, avocados, we got cauliflower, flaxseed, guava, we got quinoa, carrots, chia seeds, popcorn, and yes, I'm reading from a list that I made myself. We got lentils, apples, almonds, corn, strawberries. Strawberries are quite expensive, by the way. So if you can get your hands on some strawberries, use them sparingly. Chickpeas, oatmeal, sweet potatoes, and beetroot. Now for more protein-based foods, we got eggs, beef, pork, turkey, chicken, peanuts, almonds, cashews, sunflower seeds, shrimp, salmon, sardines, mackerel, again, lentils, milk, yogurt, beans, peas, tofu, soybeans. It sounds like I'm doing the alphabet or something. Oats, porridge, tuna, chicken breast, and broccoli. It did indeed sound like I was doing a muscle building alphabet. I hope this helps the persons that are cutting, because these are a lot of the foods I use in my meal prep when I'm on a cut. Some of these can be used in the bulk. As I say, more so the, I mean, everything here should be used sparingly, right? In a cut, you would have more moderation. You'd be more careful with the portions. While on a bulk, I'm not saying you'd go wild, but you'd have more freedom as to what you can and can't eat, especially when it comes to fast food. How diligently you have to watch what you eat when it comes to fast food is very different when it comes to the bulk versus the cut. While the cut, you have to be way more restrictive and try to fit it in your macros if you must. But I'd rather you not though, because it's very hard to come back from going out, partying, drinking. When you're on a cut, when you're trying to just stay in a particular mindset and you stray, not saying you can have a cheat meal here or there, right? But if you stray too far, you get to a point where what's, I want to say, I basically, if you stray, guys, you're just defeating the purpose. All right, so on to the topic which more people would really want to hear about, which is the bulking. So bulking is basically when you gain excess mass. This can be lean bulking or dirty bulking. Those would be the two types. So when you're lean bulking, it's similar to cutting, but you eat more in excess, right? You eat more calories. You eat more food than you would on a cut. So you basically quote unquote gaining a lean mass, so to speak. So you get bigger. You won't be as lean, and you gain a lean mass. So you gain more mass on your body, but you're still more aesthetic, right? That's basically what it is. And then dirty bulking, which I don't recommend, is when you go all out, you eat like straight fast food, straight rubbish, anything very high in caloric intake, and you do that for a very long while until you get, I don't want to say obese, until you gain an excess amount of weight where you look like you're overweight, but really the muscle is being hidden under all that fat, all that all the caloric intake in which you have taken. That's basically what happens. But when you do that, it's much harder to lose the weight. So it's like you're starting over from scratch, which I don't recommend because it's less bang for your buck. You really get less out of it. You gain more fat than you will gain muscle by the time you're supposed to move from that bulk to a cut. That being said, on to some bulking basics, right? Training, I don't want to say remains the same, but training can be gradually increased during bulking. You more muscle mass you have, you should have an increase in strength as well. So should be pushing for progressive overload, gradually increasing the weight, the reps, and the sets of each exercise that you're doing, right? Tracking your body weight should be very important in both the bulk and cutting phase to see the progress that you're making, or rather to ensure that you are making
Taking
significant
supplements
progress.
like creatine, preferably in, I mean, creatine is good, but protein powder, especially during a bulk or a mass gainer, is especially useful, right? Create not creatine, pre-workout is also a good one to use. I mean, you don't have to use pre, but pre helps. Pre is like a energy burst, like an energy boost. You know what I'm saying? So I personally, I like to use pre every once in a while. Maybe on my harder days or days I'm feeling a bit more tired than usual. You can just push through, but if you can get a better pump and you can build muscle more effectively, right? And have more energy to do so, why wouldn't you want that, right? So yeah, feel free to take pre-workout if you can get access to that, right? Keep your compound exercises, right? Your squat, your deadlift, your bench presses, right? And make sure that you're increasing gradually, right? Not too fast. So you want like maybe once every week and a half or so, increasing by 2.5, increase the weight a bit. And you keep doing that, especially during the bulk. That's more crucial during the bulking phase, right? All right, so next let's talk about realistic bulking goals, right? So average weight gain can be from 0.25 to 0.5% of body weight, right? For persons a bit more experienced, right, they probably gain about maybe, especially if you're a beginner, you probably gain about 20 to 25 pounds in the first year of lifting. First year. As I said, if you want more bang for your buck, right, you're gonna have to just wait it out. It's really a patience game, right? Some people are just thinking, yo, I'm gonna take mass gain, I'm gonna take protein powder, and by the other week I'll be this amount of weight or that amount of weight. That's just not how it works. We have to set realistic expectations, and it takes a long time to gain proper, manageable, and useful mass. Let me say that useful mass, especially if we're entering like a competition, it's gonna take a lot. That's why you have the bulking phase and the cutting phase. You don't bulk all year round and you don't cut all year round. This one part of the year, and this is usually a shorter period, maybe like 4 months, where you decide, okay, I'm cutting these 4 months or so, right? Or you can have mini cuts in between, and then probably the rest of the year you bulk. You want to be bulking majority of the year compared to cutting, right? You can't be on the cut all the while. You can't restrict yourself 24/7, and you don't want to be doing that all year round, right? It's just not sustainable. No matter what you've been told or what you heard, it's not sustainable. Alright guys, just a quick one. I'm gonna ask you guys to like the video. This way I know that the content is actually helping and assisting persons who are trying to get their dream physique, right? Alright, so before we end today's video, I just wanna put some emphasis on a few points based on everything I've said as it relates to bulking, because we're in the bulking section right now, right? So you want to make sure you're eating in a caloric surplus. What that means, eating more than usual. You can eat maybe 250 calories more, You can, some people like to track their calorie intake. I'm not one of them, right? If that works for you using an app, normally paid apps, right? Or you can use MyFitnessPal, which I think is paid. Don't quote me on that. And yeah, use what's accessible to you, right? You can use the web, you can use the internet, you can use AI to track your food, anything that by any means necessary, right? Protein intake. So you want to be getting about 0.8 to about 1 gram per pound of body weight. And you can spread the protein between 3 to 5 meals a day. I recommend about eating 5 meals max for a bulk. Being realistic, some people can't even find the 5 meals every day. Like it doesn't have to be 5 huge meals, but it has to be 5 meals that help you hit your caloric goals, but gives you the amount of protein that you need, right? As it relates to training, you want to keep strength high. You want to be doing progressive overload on all your lifts, your squats, your bench, your deadlift, your row, you name it, right? And I will not express this enough. I cannot express this enough, guys. Sleep and recovery is so important. You want to be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, whether you're doing a late night shift or you work various hours, whatever you do, try to get at least, let's keep it realistic, at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night, right? I typically I typically get about maybe 7 hours thereabout, if so much. Most nights, right? I get about 7 to 8, right? Let's try for 6 to 8. Keeping it realistic, right? Rest days are also essential for growth. Please rest. Have a day for rest. Whether it even be active recovery, have a full day for rest. Please, I'm begging, right? Tracking progress. Remember to always track your progress. Do your daily weigh-ins or your weekly weigh-ins. I prefer daily. Do your progress photos, progress pics. flex, unflex, so you can, compare and do your monthly measurements, right? Or weekly measurements. It just depends on how you like to do it, right? Some people prefer to measure themselves monthly, some people prefer to weigh themselves weekly. It just depends on what you're comfortable with, right? And then lastly, consistency and patience. Your gains are not going to happen overnight. Believe it or not, I don't know what you've been told, but it's not going to happen. You just have to wait it out, do progressive overload, trust yourself, and trust your instincts. Don't let people tell you information that's not factual. That being said, listen to all that I've said in this video, make your notes, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Big up on yourself.